Everybody ready? It was Tuesday practice. It was hot. It was fun. Got a lot of work to do. We have to really taking our urgency and preparation to have an opportunity to play in this game. So big opportunity, really good opponent in our stadium, ranked opponent. But if we don't get ready and improve a lot, it's not going to matter what the opportunity looks like. We got to get better in-house before we really worry about the opponent. So with that, we'll open up to questions.
Any questions from the mics here, guys?
Just what stands out about them when you watch them on film?
Yeah, I think you start with their defense. They're big, physical, athletic, and they're experienced. Linebackers, DBs, a lot of guys I recognize from last year. D-line's long. They look like a really well-coached team across the board, but defensively big and athletic. Offensively, they're really veteran on the O-line. A couple of the guys started last year, but they're really veteran. They're all seniors and juniors. The quarterback is a tremendous athlete. I mean, he throws it well, but he's really gifted athletically. I mean, when he decides to put the ball down and run, I think I've heard, I don't know if it's true or not, but I've heard he's the fastest guy on their team. And when you see him go, it wouldn't surprise me. And the backs, 31 and 3. 31's a physical guy who runs well. 3 is electric with the ball in his hands. He's a good pass catcher and a good runner. He's good in the kicking game as well, punt return. So I think probably the thing that doesn't get enough credit is how good they are on special teams in the past. They blocked 7 punts the last few years. They blocked 2 last year and they blocked 1 last week. So we've got to be really good in punt protection. And then we've got to cover kicks better, obviously. But their special teams units have been really good. And so I just think when you watch them play, they're really well coached. They're very detailed. They play incredibly hard. They don't beat themselves. They're a really good football team. So,
you guys played it 2 years ago. How did you coach against them last year? What do you take away from that from a knowledge perspective? Obviously, I know the rosters aren't anywhere near the same.
Yeah, that's a good point. I looked back at our roster to see who was actually dressed out for that game, and it ain't many guys. I mean, it's like 4 guys played a lot of snaps, and 4 or 5 other guys played some kicking game snaps or backup snaps. There's not very – I think there's like 10 guys, maybe 11 guys that were even on the sideline for that game on our team. I don't know how many are on their side, but so totally different rosters, than it was then. And then looking back last year, I mean, they have a new offensive coordinator. Colin Klein's gone to Texas A&M. They got really 2 guys running the offense, and they're doing really good run game stuff, and the pass game stuff I think matches the run game well. They're efficient with what they do, but there's some carryover. I mean, there's some carryover on both sides of the ball, and the defensively they're the same kind of as what they've been. A lot of 3 safety pictures, a unique structure defensively that I think can stress you a little bit. And so there's some knowns on both sides. I mean, I have a lot of respect for their staff. Their head coach, Chris Kleiman, he was a FCS coach at North Dakota State for a long time, won a bunch of national titles, and then all they've done at Kansas State is just win, and so but there's some known things about both sides. We'll both have some things that we didn't show last week, I think. They'll have some things they didn't show. I have a thing or two we didn't show.
Are you making any personnel change on kickoff coverage, or just got to execute better?
Great question. Yeah, personnel changes. Yes, we made a couple within the game. The plan was going into the game, Durkin and Head were going to rotate. Durkin wasn't quite ready to go swing in a game, so Head got them all. And then that may or may not be the case this week. Don't really know that yet. But there was a few things that we changed within the game, and there's 2 or 3 things. Coach Mack and I talked, and there's a couple guys that played positions last year that they didn't play last week that we may go back with where they were last year because they were comfortable there. And so there's some things that we're tinkering with, definitely. And there's maybe a schematic thing or 2 that we're tinkering with. And anytime something doesn't go right, you're always recalibrating and reassessing. And even when it does, you're trying to figure out how can you improve upon it. So we've clearly got to get better there, and we're looking at personnel and scheme.
Now you had time to look at the film. What do you think of the freshman quarterback's performance in the contest?
Yeah, about the same as I felt after the game Thursday night. He was 10 for 12. One of those was a drop, so he should have been 11 for 12. And then we had a procedure penalty with not enough guys on the line of scrimmage, which I could argue that one from what I saw on tape. But if you don't take that one back on a third down completion, Keith, they would have been 12 or 13. That's pretty efficient. I thought he took care of the football. I thought he executed and was efficient at the line of scrimmage. He probably left two throws a little shorter than he'd like. Had one to Mario that Mario had to come back for and kind of dive to catch. And then the touchdown to Keith, he needs to put that ball a little further out there. He knows that. I mean, you don't leave a corner throw in the end zone short. You got to put it out there to the receiver, go get it, and the DB can't play it. Keith did a really nice job coming back and playing that ball. But first game action, along with first start, I thought he looked poised and played with good command. And I'm not really surprised by that, but you just never know what a guy's going to do when they get in the under the lights, and he handled the moment really well.
Yeah, that's what I was going to follow up. He hadn't played since high school, and I understand it was an FCS opponent, and it's going to get much tougher this week. But from our interactions with him, he seems like a very confident kid. It doesn't seem like really much phases him on the field or off the field.
He's just steady, and he's very consistent. Same guy every day. And I think that's what bodes well for him is you don't have to wonder what's he going to be like energy wise, what's he going to be like focus wise. He's just very calm, and yes, the challenges are about to get much harder, and he knows that. We're going into big boy football real fast. We got a stretch of games here. Start with Kansas State. It's grown man football every week, and so there's going to be some adversity. There is, and I think he'll handle it well, and I think he'll be ready for whatever comes his way.
I know you said you sleep better at night knowing Mekhi Hughes is on your team, but talk about the depth at running back, Shoddy, Arnold Barnes, what you saw from that room this past week and what you see from them every practice.
Yeah, I think Shoddy's really stepped up. He had 4 carries for over 40-something yards. I think he's improved a ton. Dude has been solid. And I thought Trey Cornish came in and Jamar McClure came in, and they had some physical runs too. So I like the depth of the room. We need those guys to continue to grow faster and become more capable of carrying some of the load. Mekhi's strength is really getting him a ton of runs. Like, he wears the defense down, and he didn't get a ton the other night, like his normal workload. But it was nice to see the other guys step up and play with some production, and we need them to continue to do that.
Coach Payton, when he was here, would do all these inspirational things, like he put gas cans in the locker room, say the players didn't have enough gas, and mouse traps for they don't eat the cheese when people tell you good. Is there anything this week to tell the guys? Because obviously it's a home game, it's a top 20 team, but there's a lot of people doubting y'all. You're almost a 10-point underdog. Do you kind of relay any of that stuff or use any tactics? Yeah,
we talk about. I'm not oblivious to the outside world. I don't always know the spread or all that stuff, but I try to focus on what's going to help us play our best. Last week, the message for me was be where your feet are. My biggest fear last week were guys looking ahead to what was to come, right? This week, it's just do your job. Like, nobody has to be a Superman. Everybody on our team, the way that they've been made, the way they've been put together, they're more than good enough. But do your job, which I think last week maybe at times some guys try to do a little too much in certain roles. And then some guys weren't maybe as detailed as they need to be. And so it's just as simple as doing your job to the best of your ability and doing it really, really well and having urgency in your preparation. We don't have any gas cans in the locker room. I don't know if the campus protocols would allow that. I might be worried about a hazard or something, or mouse traps. But we do try to make sure they understand, you're on high alert. And I talk a lot to the guys about complacency is a killer. I think, anybody that's ever complacent in life, they're getting ready to get exposed. And so we won't be complacent. We got nothing to be complacent over. We played a really average game. and we're getting ready to play a really good opponent. It's a top 20 team, and we're not. We're not a top 20 team. We didn't play like one on Thursday last week. If we play like we played last Thursday, we will get it destroyed coming up. I mean, it will not even be close.
To that point, what do you need to see from Mensa and from this offense to that next level to have a chance in this game?
Yeah, I think the team that can run the ball best in this game is going to have a good opportunity to win. I think the team that protects the football, don't turn it over, and the team that executes explosive plays when they present themselves. Those are the things that you're looking for. I don't think it's anything magical. It's run the ball, take care of the football, and hit the shots when they present themselves. And I think both sides would probably tell you similar type answer, because that's the way they play too. They're a physical team, and they run the ball really well, and they hit vertical shots off of it typically. And so I think that's really the key. It's not playing with outside of yourself, just play within yourself.
How are you approaching quarterback playing time in this one?
Similar. I mean, no secret who went out the ones. I think he'll go out the ones again, looks like. But we've got contingency plans and different plans where other guys could be in the game. And, there's a lot of different things we're working through scenario-wise that there might be some things you hadn't seen. There might not be this week. It sometimes depends on the game flow, but we're working several different situations and packages that have all three guys involved in the game plan.
How much longer or shorter does the leash get when you're facing off against an opponent like this as far as quarterback play?
I don't really change based upon the opponent. I'm worried about us. I don't care who we're playing, really. I mean, to me, and I'm not trying to belittle this game. This game's very important. We want to win it. I said this before, though. We don't get preseason games in college football. The number one goal is win our conference championship, right? That's the number one goal. Well, this is still where we have to kind of work through who are we as a team. Now, the scoreboard matters, and it's permanent. And so we want to play at a really high level, but it's not going to change how we go into the game with giving a guy opportunities. I mean, I'm not changing how we approach a guy's playing time based upon maybe who we're playing. It's more so what his preparation look like and how is he playing will affect. I don't care if it's our quarterback or linebackers or whoever.
You mentioned that Avery Johnson, the quarterback, has a lot of speed. Is that what makes him the most dangerous, or is it something else?
I think it's unique. He throws the ball well. He's a good passer, but he's so athletically gifted and fast that makes him different. That makes him maybe a little bit unique from what you typically see. And so he can create and extend plays. And then if he decides to run it, look out. He can go. I mean, he's got ridiculous top end. So I think that's what just separates him and makes him a different type of player is those athletic traits he has. Seems like a good leader, too. Seems like a really solid teammate.
You talked about how there was a lack of pass rush last week. Now you're facing a much more mobile quarterback. How do you approach it from a contained more than a pressure situation?
It's a good question. And looking back, I'm always hard on the defense. And there was a lot of quick game things, a lot of, stuff that really didn't allow our rush to get very activated and affect the game. That was a good game plan by Southeastern. But we do need to feel our front a little bit more, and the quarterback needs to be, able to feel our guys rush a little bit more than what happened Thursday.
And just lastly, Mensa, of course, he had a good game, but what do you think about the early connection he has already had with Yul Keith on the field?
Yeah, I think Benson's got a good relationship with all those guys. You, Keith, Mario, Dante. I think, Bryce Bohannon. Today at practice, I thought Sidney and Banasour had a couple nice plays. I thought there were several guys that have a good rapport with Darian, and as well as all our quarterbacks. But Darian, I think those guys believe in him. They expect him to distribute the football the right way and make good decisions, and he puts it on the money. It's really accurate. And he has good anticipation of throw lanes and windows. And so I think those guys believe in him being able to get the ball to him.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Coach.